Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana. Let's get into this. So, excuse me, my voice is a little... I was out playing in the rain last night. But I'm fine. I'm not sick or anything like that. Alright? If this is your first time tuning in, this segment, or right now we're in the middle of a series where we are discussing the rules and laws of the land, the water, and the spiritual realm, right? Of course, there are other dimensions and other timelines within dimensions, right? But the creator just told me about 3, all right? So yesterday we talked about having jobs in the spirit. I want to say maybe Thursday or Friday. Over the weekend, the creator had taken me on a journey. I earlier discussed in the week how I was spiritually attacked and how the attack had manifested in some really crazy ways. Won't get into detail, but in the midst of that attack, I was led into a physical environment, right? Not a spiritual one, not a 5D. This was a 3D environment where I was blending in with people who would assume to be crazy, but were definitely in distress, whether they're crazy under demonic possession or just on drugs, right? This attack was aimed to make me crazy, so much so that I would be admitted, okay? Now, the crazy part about this is the creator had me going into jobs, and then the conversation was broken down a little bit further, and he had revealed to me why he wanted me to go into those jobs. And it was simply because the environment where I was just a few people who didn't have their positions that they were rightfully given, right? Their birthrights. Now, this could be due to being disobedient, to simply just denying the call, spiritual attack, or just negligence, right? Being ignorant, and this causes people to perish, right, when they're ignorant. And yesterday we had the conversation of having jobs in the spirit and how it doesn't always reflect our jobs on the physical realm. Of course, a lot of us, we go through these different courses of education and life lessons, and we build ourselves up to have a career, right, where we assume that we will be able to provide for ourselves and our families. But I don't really think people take account to their placement, right? Of course, we have status. Some of these things are inherited. Other people, they work their asses off to get in certain positions. But a lot of people don't realize the spiritual ranking that's connected to jobs in the physical realm, right? Yeah, we want to get jobs to make money. We have these passions. Of course, these passions are placed in us, right, by the creator. If you have a desire, especially when it is pertaining to helping other people, it's definitely a gift that God gave you, right, to help and be of service to your other fellow mankind members, or just his other creations. Doesn't have to be people, right? You could be into animals, you could be into agriculture, you could be into the cosmos, right? All of these things assist with the building and the connecting of everything that the creator has created. And most of us, we go into these fields because we have some particular passion, and it's usually rooted in our childhood. It's usually rooted in us attempting to solve a problem that we first had, and then it turns out that so many other people have those same problems, and you just want to help, right? You want to be of service. These are gifts from the Creator. So of course, people like doctors, even a chef, I would say a nutritionist, life coaches, pastors and preachers, or any type of prophet, even people who are carpenters. And I'm laughing and smiling seeing that. Y'all know why. Anything that can translate back to a gift where you're not only using your hand, but it takes a great level of passion to be consistent. This is something that is directly correlated to your gift in the spirit, and it's being manifested in the physical. Yesterday we just discussed how sometimes people have these spiritual rankings in these spiritual gifts, and it may not reflect as such in the physical world, right? So like the manager that's been a manager at the Popeyes, or the crossing guard that's been a crossing guard for 20 years, or just people who hold titles and positions that we don't correlate to high status, whether it's economic status, social status, or whatever. If you have to exploit people to achieve this goal in this dream, you might want to reconsider where this desire and passion is coming from. We have things like technology, fashion, and even, some things in the healthcare don't always reflect the highest intention of the Creator and exactly, what it is that He does in the spirit. I'm going to say those fields and profession usually start as a gift and a desire and a passion from the Creator, but they get perverted by human desire, by human influence, by demonic influence, okay? So we can't look down on people because they have jobs that don't pay well or don't appear to be financially reasonable, or don't appear to put us in places. And when I say paying well and financially reasonable, those two aren't the same. Obviously, paying well is a job where you go and you get paid good money, right? Financially reasonable is something where you could actually say, I enjoy what I do, and no matter what I'm being paid, I enjoy it, right? Not always the same. So we have to be careful when we look at people and assume that they're not being rewarded, because some people were put here. Remember, everything is connected. And I gave the example yesterday of maybe, being a crossing guard, right? It's one of those things where you don't really get paid a lot. You don't really need to do a lot of training or have like this vast amount of knowledge and education. And it's not even like a career. But what if God placed you on that corner just to make sure a select few of kids, of course all of the kids, are getting across safely, right? But maybe He put you in that particular location to be safeguarding a handful of children. Or maybe, He placed you at the Popeyes to be able to discern the different people that are coming in and out, and your energy is required for that crowd, that group, that environment, that location, to be a sort of a healer or a guider or a person that people feel comfortable enough around to release the things that are bothering them, or to just simply get good advice from before they move on to the next phases and stages of life. Money doesn't always equate a blessing from God. It doesn't always equate a relationship with God, right? We know some of the richest people are descendants of slave owners, and this is one of those things where people have been exploited, right? The diamond industry, the fashion industry, the technology industry, a lot of these fields are comprised of people who set their sights on not only exploiting, but definitely disregarding large groups of people on a systematic, historic level. Okay? So when we have these conversations, we have to be willing to be real about, how some of these different industries are toxic, because they're affecting more than one of God's creations, right? If you are in the technology field or the jewelry or the diamond mining industry, not only are you basically promoting slave work, you are extracting resources from the earth for things that, are not really helping mankind in the best way possible. So most of us, we go through these situations assuming that, oh, it's just a job, oh, it's just a career, oh, I'm just living out my dreams, oh, but let's look at how these things are sustained. Let's look at how these things even come about. It's more than toxic. It's kind of like an abomination, but I'm not even going to get into that because that would be getting off topic, okay? But let's keep in mind that your spiritual ranking doesn't always translate down on the physical level as far as our jobs are concerned. And this goes the other way, right? A person who could be like the top don CEO, leader of all leaders, could be like a peasant in the spirit world, right? And you may ask, like, well, how do they even get put into situations where they can control people and lead people? This is not something that God condones, but most of the time God allows things to happen for whatever his reasons are. A lot of the time it's related to demonic, activity and manipulation. But more than often, it's because people like to play God. People do things that they shouldn't do in this realm, that they think they've gotten away with, but really in the spirit world, they're paying, and if they haven't, they will, for several generations. So before we go, remember, people who work at fast food could be way higher in rank than you. People who are children can rank higher than you. So just try to be humble. What you wear, where you live, how much money you have, who you know, how often you travel is not always an indicator that God is on your side, okay? Of course, God blesses his people, but a lot of the times the blessings are with gifts, okay? When God blesses you with monetary things, it's because he wants you to use those resources to help and not exploit. Alright, but I'm going to end it here. I do love you guys. I hope y'all enjoyed y'all weekend. I hope y'all are drinking y'all water, eating y'all fruit and vegetables, and sipping on your own tea because it's free, and staying sucker free. Alright, love y'all. Peace.